Welcome back to the Tide Diorama Hanger. This is Mike, and I'm coming at you with a weekly news and review for January 30th. And this week we've got some news in the Masterpiece, some in the Legends, and some in the Mainline with the Transformers, but it's getting a little bit light. We've got some G.I. Joe classified reveals that aren't reveals. They're actually found in the store and in the wild. We've got He-Man and the Masters of the Universe updates for Origins, the good and the bad. We got some test samples of the new Blitzway Voltron that have been sent out, and it's looking pretty good. And of course, there's some Star Wars news. We're going to talk about all of this and more coming up. Starting out with some new stuff that's at Show Z that just went up. The Zamo Studio SharkCon set of 3. This appears to be Legend scale. I'm not 100% sure if this is the Hasbro run struck down. Did they shrink this down or what? But anyway, there's 3 of them. They say they're supposed to be 4.72 inches tall, which it does not look according to this picture. And it's going to be about $40. $1 down, set of 3. I ordered a set, see what they're like. Next, there's the Lewin Resources trailer. It's $1 down, no price on it just yet, but it's for the gigantic Lewin Resources. This thing is absolutely massive. Yes, that is a Masterpiece Carbot standing up in the back of this trailer. It's going to be massive. It's going to be huge. Still, no price yet. And there is the King Toys King Lion for pre-order. And I know this thing seems like it's taken forever to get made and to come out. But anyway, here it is. And it is $3 down. No price just yet. But there's some new pictures. Here is the back. It looks pretty interesting. Definitely with that stylized take and that stylized look. Here is the alt mode. Now, I feel like we've seen this one before, but anyway, it still looks pretty cool. It is a really interesting design, the way it looks. And here is the built bot. So this is the combined mode and what it's going to look like when it's all done. Looking pretty cool, and it is up for pre-order right now. We also have the King Toys CT07 now. I think that this one is all renders here. It still looks pretty interesting. And there it is. Also over here, we've got the alt mode, and there it is in the alt mode. So still just renders. There's still only 2 pictures. This one's not quite as far along as the CT04. So really a dry spell in the Masterpiece world this week. X-Transbots isn't putting out a bunch of reveals. Fans Toys isn't putting out a bunch of reveals. But the upcoming Blitzway version, it's a 5 Pro Studios Blitzway. This Voltron looks amazing. And somehow I got a hold of this picture. It's the DX Goken, and he's got some followers on there, that he's got this in hand, got it early. I think there's a couple of YouTube videos about this already, so that's pretty cool, and some reviews. But this thing versus the SOC is, in my opinion, much better looking than the SOC. And there's a lot of reasons why, but side by side, it just really shows. Now, the downside is a lot of other things scale with SOC. Not very much stuff scales with this just yet, but it does look to be very premium. Now, is it worth twice the price? That's still questionable, but looking at them, you can really see this. Side by side with this one picture here, you can definitely see the proportions are different. It's more like the Toon. The upper legs are covered up. It just looks so great. And from what I understand, it feels very high quality in your hand, and it is an excellent one. I look forward to get my hands on it. Should be shipping soon, and if you pre-ordered it, you can expect to pay for it relatively soon. Well, probably if you haven't had that come yet, it's after Chinese New Year. So we got some pictures of the Queen Studio Collectibles Revenge of the Fallen Jetwing Optimus Prime versus Megatron diorama prototype, and it's pretty interesting. So basically, it looks like a statue to me. I call it a diorama. I call it a statue. Either way, that's what it looks like, and really no pricing on it just yet or availability, but it still looks pretty interesting. If you're in on this style, then there it is. I think the way the Jetfire gave its parts to Optimus Prime is one of the coolest things about that movie in itself, and so that actual Transformer is really cool. But when you see this in statue form, it definitely looks a little bit different, but it's really interesting, really cool from Queen Studios. More to come. So we got something called the Baowu School ZTQ15 Light Tank, and not really sure where to order from or any of that kind of stuff just yet, but it's just an interesting take here. Not really any character it's trying to model after. It's doing its own thing. Here it is. There's the tank. There is the packaging. There is the figure, and so it's a transforming robot. It does its own thing, and it looks quite interesting. There it is. just a better look at the figure with the top part of the packaging taken off. So it's something different, and if you're in for something different, I'm not really sure even where to get it just yet, but I'm sure they'll be popping up for pre-orders at several different places. This is the BOWU School, the ZTQ15 light tank. So we got the Bumblebee movie Plamo model kit, the approximately 12-inch tall, and this Optimus Prime looks pretty cool. Now you will have to put it together since it's a model kit, and it's highly posable, non-transformable, and all that good stuff. Here it goes with showing some more of the stuff that you're going to be able to do with this guy. It's going to be, well, I don't know about the US release price, but translating it over, it's about $114 right now. Now, if it gets picked up in, say, Hobby Lobby, then it's probably going to be like 50 or 60 bucks. So hopefully. But I'm not sure if this is going to make it to Hobby Lobby or those places. You might still have to order online for the $114 price point. And this picture kind of shows off some of the articulation, so it is going to be a pretty good figure. A model kit, looks like a lot of work. So a lot of people getting really excited about the Generation Toy and getting to finish it and build it and put it together. So here we go with Generation Toy in the bot modes. And here he is built. So this is an interesting looking Defensor. I think it looks great, actually. And it's one of those, it looks to be all in one. Doesn't look like it's got combiner parts. It is a little shorter than kind of where we're going in the direction now, but this is several years in the making. I don't know a whole lot about build quality or articulation or any of that kind of stuff, but just looking at this picture, it looks like it was well worthwhile. Hopefully worth the wait for all those years. And we got a picture of X-Transbot's G2 Minosaur, the boxes, so pretty exciting. If you remember seeing this stuff on the shelf back in the day, this looks a lot like the packaging. The packaging is super throwback to the 90s when they did the G2 stuff, so there it is, and looks quite interesting. Speaking of packaging, rolling into some Legends news. Now, this Superion from Zeta looks to be really good. Now, here is the packaging, the boxes, and here is the final component to put it all together, and just feels a lot like what they did with their Masterpiece, and they're doing it right, including all the combiner parts and all that kind of stuff. That's just the right way to do it all, and it's going to pay off because it looks pretty good. So here it is in combine mode, and it looks fantastic, and I understand there's even die-cast in it a bit. It's got some paint in it a bit, and I think the design is even better than what they did with the Masterpiece one. Now, I like my Masterpiece one, but I start looking at this and I start seeing things I like better about this. Here is the back, and it cleans up pretty good considering it's Legends, and I think they learned a bit from what they did, and since they completely just redid this, a whole different design, but they still kind of use some of the same elements, so still looks pretty cool. Scales very well with the Magic Square Minosaur, and so I think that's really important. So that means the KO oversize of Minosaur is going to tower over this thing. But let's see what it looks like with everything else. So all the recent iterations of these figures. So on the very left is Magic Square Devastator, then you get the New Age Devastator, then you get this guy, and then you get Magic Square's Minosaur. All that scales well together. In fact, I think the Magic Square being a little bit bigger as Devastator, in my opinion, I like that look a little bit better. But man, look how clean even the New Age is. So more David news. Here is the clear version of the New Age David, and again, it looks pretty good. It is a little bit shorter than the Magic Square version, and it looks a lot like the Toon. So the clear one, they always do a clear one. They call this the H27T, and you got the clear trailer. The clear trailer is actually pretty interesting also, and all of the accessories looking clear too. Speaking of David, there is the EX version in hand, and I think that this is the one. If I were to get one, I'd get this one. Here is the alt mode for it, sitting on top of the box, and looking extra retro with the box, and extra shiny with the trailer, EX trailer, EX in the front grille and all the paint. Looks amazing. And then here it is. Now it is the silver leg version of the EX versus maybe a white version of the pelvis and all that kind of stuff. So still, it looks awesome. I love what they do with paint. I like how they always do a great job with paint from their first figure. Like, you don't have to wait or guess or hope. They let you know what they're doing. Here it is side by side with their Megatron, and I gotta say, I think you need to find a Magic Square Megatron to put next to this guy. Probably the biggest news of the week for New Age here is the Cyclonus. Now, we already knew they were making a Cyclonus, but this is the actual figure. You see the paint, you see the glistening, you see the design, and you can see the articulations much better than you did with the renders. This thing really does look amazing, and it's probably going to be my Legend Cyclonus when it comes out. This thing looks super ultra clean. I really like the way it looks. And just straight up, this is the H43 TYR, looking amazing. Just, I'm shocked. Down to the guns painted really well. The hands look to have a bit of articulation, or is that just, maybe that's not really articulation. It just looks like it's articulated. Still awesome looking job that they do. They always do a great job. And then here we go with the alt mode, and I think the alt mode itself, it looks pretty slick too. So pretty slick, pretty sleek. I think it's going to beat what Magic Square has already done and what we saw with McFan's toys. And he's going to be a pretty tall figure. Like, this is next to their Darius, so he's bigger than Galvatron, which I think is still okay, and it's right. It works, and it tells me that it's going to scale very well with even any Magic Square offering or what else is out there, and even probably look decent next to McFan's toys, oversized stuff, that kind of stuff. So really, really excited for this figure. It looks amazing. So I don't talk about much when it comes to upgrade kits, but this is Go Better. Sorry, Go Better Studios is making this upgrade kit for the New Age Legends, and I don't really see a lot of upgrades for Legends or for third party. It's mostly for Mainline. And looking at this, you can see on the left is before and the right is after. And you can kind of get a little bit better look here with the back view. It shows a lot more filled in the back. So it already looks pretty good before, but I think it does look way better after you get this kit on it. So yeah, it does look great. Again, this is a Legends kit for what's already a pretty expensive figure, but then it shows a little bit more going on right here. But I think it does make a big improvement before and after. And some of the things that I thought were like, yeah, it's just okay, now it looks really great. So getting into some of the Mainline news, we've got sightings from around in the U.S. and at retail. This, I would love to see a Walmart stacked like this. But anyway, still, they're getting in the Tigatron. I did see a case of Tigatron out in the wild on a pallet somewhere, but I'm not too worried about it. I'm only going to get those when they go on clearance, the reissue Beast Wars stuff, if I even get it. But I kind of like the modern takes a little bit better than the older ones. But still, it's exciting to see it show up in the wild, and new products showing up is always exciting. Speaking of new products showing up, there's also Scorponok showing up, and this is the Beast Wars, of course, Beast Wars version of Scorponok showing up at US retail. And it's just a reissue one, but it's showing that product is still arriving. We got legacy stuff hitting in France, and I'm so glad I got my blaster in the old style packaging, because the new style packaging is a bit of a turnoff to me because it's open, but it still looks cool. Still looking at this, it's exciting that we know stuff is in the works. And some more packaging shots of what we see going on here. So this is Nest Bumblebee, and then it looks like this when it's out of the box. So it's the one that turns into a Jeep, and it is silver, and it's interesting. I kind of missed out on the green one. I think they made a green one before, so this is a repaint. And then here is the Jeep mode, and there it is in the Jeep mode. So this is a nice looking Jeep mode. Almost could pull off a Hound there, but nope, it's Bumblebee. Here's Galvatron with his repackaged package, and of course, leaders are all closed box, so it's a blind box special there. You don't really know what you're going to get when you open that thing, if you ever open it. So, scary world that we're moving into here with these leaders being all sealed up, but I kind of would like to see it still, not behind the box. Anyway, moving on to more packaging shots. This is Skids with his package and open box there. That's what to expect if you see it on the shelf. Here is the kickback, and we kind of seen some of this stuff, but there's more pictures, official pictures coming out. Looking great. I kind of look forward to using Secticons myself. And then this is the picture with, is it Prime RC? So that's her in her box, in her packaging, and out of her packaging, so there she is. So we got some cool pictures of the Core Class Exosuit Daniel, and I've heard a lot of people bashing it, a lot of negative stuff said about it, and whatever. I think it's really cool they're making it. For $10, you can get just this, and it's going to be a simple transformation. Maybe it's not the greatest in the world, but I still think it's going to work. It's going to get the job done, and there it is. So we want to see side by side with Masterpiece, and there it is. The left is the Masterpiece version, I believe. So looking at them, they would work together on a shelf. In my opinion, it would work fine. Well, how well will it work? Well, there it is. So as you can see, it is shorter than the Masterpiece, which I figured it was going to be about exactly the same size as the Masterpiece because the Masterpiece was so small, but there it is. And I think it works. And I think this picture, they use some sort of upgraded head. So, I don't know. One's Daniel, Spike, whatever. I just thought that maybe you should be able to pack in separate heads and just have both. You know, one head for Daniel, one for Spike. That would have been cool. And here's the alt mode comparison side by side. And I can't believe I'm saying it, but yeah, the Masterpiece. The Masterpiece one wasn't great, but it does look a little bit better, a little cleaner than this. But then this is going to be real easy to transform. So we got in-hand pictures of the bulkhead for Legacy Collection next to... Now this one is right next to the blaster, and that blaster is a pretty good looking blaster. So side by side, they look pretty good, and this figure itself looks pretty interesting with more of a sort of a G1-esque take, but you still know what character it is just by looking at him. Here he is with a bunch of figures, a bunch of characters, kind of just digging into sort of some G1 looks. But then again, there's not a whole lot out there to go with this yet, but that's all on the way. Still, looking pretty interesting, pretty good, scales well. This picture, sort of a flex. Stuff we don't have just yet. It's coming on the way. But anyway, it's right next to the Scamper and then the, is that Puffer? Puffer, is that what one that is? But anyway, TF Toy Box, great looking pictures. Really nice to see what these things look like. So we got some pictures of the packaging of the premium finish PFWFCO4 Starscream. And you might say, Mike, what's the premium on this? It's a premium paint job that takes a $30 figure to $54. So in case you didn't know, well, now you know. So, yeah, it's okay if you missed out on it, if you're wanting to pick it up, if you didn't get it for $13 at Ross, well, now you can get it for only $54 at all these places that carry the Hasbro Chikara stuff. So we got a Generation Selects DK02 Guard. It's a recolor of Ironhide. And the thing about this is that you can pre-order it pretty much everywhere. Generation Select, it's not like a Pulse exclusive. But I do want to say that I thought that this mold would have been beat to death. So I'm not surprised they're coming out with this version of this. But it's a pretty decent mold. It, in my opinion, is even better than what they did early on with the Siege. But I would kind of like to see an Ironhide again. That was an exclusive Amazon pack to get the Ironhide like this. Here's the alt mode, of more G1-esque alt mode than what we were seeing with Siege and all of that. So it's sort of the Earthrise version. But still looks pretty cool. It's $25, so you know the prices keep rising, and they're gonna keep on rising. There's no stop to this price. It's kind of a short-term plateau, and you know pretty soon we'll be paying $30 for a deluxe. So we got some in-hand pictures of the Leader Laser Optimus Prime, and it's versus the Earthrise, and you can still see some of the reused parts in this. So that's kind of cool. It's kind of interesting how they are still reusing some parts, but in some ways, it's cleaner. In some ways, well, the design of this character is not going to be cleaner than a G1 design of Optimus Prime overall. But there it is. Let's see what it looks like in alt mode. And there's a real big close-up of the alt mode. It looks pretty good. So I think they've done a pretty good job with this figure overall. It does capture the design of the original, and that works. Okay, so we got a couple of pictures of the new Authentics figures, and this is the Authentics Bravo RC. Now the thing about this is Authentics is what's called an evergreen line. Evergreen line meaning something that they don't have to tie to any media or any line, and it can just be there for the next 5-10 years for a cheap, low price point. It's have a super amount of hollowness, but it's so a kid can get their hands on it for $5, $7, maybe $10 at the most at Family Dollar, Dollar General, those kinds of places. And I think these are good. They're good because kids can get them for real cheap. Adult collectors could use them for fillers if they wanted to while they're waiting to find what they're looking for out there. And overall, I don't think it looks horrible. Now, these do feel super cheap in hand because they are very, very low price point. Here's Alpha Wheeljack, and I had to take a quick second take on it and go, is this the one that they already put out at retail, like with Earthrise? But it is not the same one, and the Earthrise is a little bit better, but not a massive amount better, considering the price points will be so much different, I think. Now, of course, I don't have an exact price on these yet, but when I start seeing them showing up at the Dollar Generals and the Family Dollars and stuff like that, then I'll know exactly for sure. But still, it doesn't look ridiculously bad. It's sort of okay for the super duper ultra budget line that's going to be around for a long time. They engineer it once and just keep producing it for the next 5, 7, 10 years. Okay, so we've got a red card exclusive for the Generation Legacies Transformers line for Target. Red card to Target. It's going to be $31.49, And the thing about this is nobody really knows, and there's guesses. This is going to be like a redeco of Cog from Siege. That's what they're thinking. Nobody really knows. So it's going to be interesting to see what it is and how it turns out. But it's called Legacy EV. So anyone's guess, your guess, is probably better than mine. Okay, so there's no pictures yet, but there are some more listings that are being discovered here and there about Super 7's reaction Beast Wars, and this is exclusive somewhere. This is the Galvatron retro exclusive, a Grimlock Blue G2 exclusive, and some Beast Wars. So there's going to be a Super 7 Dinobot, an Optimus Primal, a Megatron, a Black Arachne, and a Cheetor. So this Super 7 reaction line gets a mixed reaction from collectors. So some people love them, some people hate them. I've been getting most of them. I'm about 90% caught up, and I got them from anywhere between $12 to $15. I refuse to pay $18 for them, and the thing is, I think that's $18's a bit overpriced for them. But then again, there's a lot to be said about the reaction line, and I'm going to make several videos specifically about the reaction line coming up on my channel. But the Beast Wars, I mean, it's something that's out there. I'm curious if anybody at all would be interested in it. So more events are getting canceled and backed out and stuff like that, but Melbourne Toy Hobby Licensing Fair is canceled for 2022. So this Australian toy fair is canceled for the second year in a row, and so stuff's still getting canceled, and we're still kind of in that lull there. But I kind of think that Hasbro's thinking to themselves that we have this under control. We don't really need to be part of these, and I don't think that they really can do these fairs without Hasbro anymore. That's just the way it feels. That's my gut feeling. Maybe the decisions weren't really made based on any of that kind of stuff. But Hasbro pulled out of the London Toy Fair for 2022 also. So, I mean, of course, they cite the cancellation due to sickness, possibilities, those kinds of things right there. But still, it's one of those things that 2 years later, we still can't have a toy fair, which is kind of crazy. I just went to a toy show myself this weekend, and it was great. It was fun. I had a lot of fun with it. I really enjoyed it. Got a lot of good deals. It was exciting. It wasn't huge, but it was good enough, and it was worthwhile. I don't see why they got to cancel this stuff. So moving into some G.I. Joe news. So with this Baroness that was announced last week, and I made a video about it, actually, the Baroness, and there's Destro, there's a Gung Ho coming, and then there's Lady J, but they found Baroness in the wild. I don't think they found Lady J just yet, so just Baroness by herself, so I guess she's single packed as cases, and there's a lot to be said about this packaging. First of all, the bubble is gigantic, ginormous. It's just a huge bubble, way too big. There's no reason for that. Second of all of the way the accessories are in here, they did it right with the snake eyes and the storm shadow and all this stuff, the way the bubble was and the packaging was. But with this, they're going back to the weird nonsense they did with the 3.75-inch line. They had an opportunity to do this right, and they chose not to. So, okay, so maybe let's just give it to Hasbro. They've never known how to make anything look like the vintage packaging, but make it 6-inch. They don't have experience with it. They just can't figure it out. It's just too hard. Wait, they've already done it with multiple other toy lines, and for whatever with G.I. Joe, they got to make it look stupid? Like, dumber than dumb? I mean, come on, man. People are going to pick this up to leave in the package, and yes, there are going to be some of the people that pick it up that didn't get the one with the coil cycle, and they want this to be their standalone, which that has its own issues too, by the way. But looking at it side by side, this is a knockout hit that it's almost impossible to screw up. But they did this, and that's not all they did. So we're hearing that this is an all-new head sculpt, and the glasses are packed separate, so that looks kind of goofy in the packaging. But now we got these notches on the side to put the glasses on there, instead of having them the way they had them before, which I'm thinking this will actually work out better in the end with the glasses on. But when the glasses are off, there's these notches in the face and the side of the head. But, I mean, I don't think it's a bad-looking sculpt, and I don't think overall it's a horrible figure at all, really. I think it's going to be a great figure on the shelf. Just the packaging is kind of weird, and the decision to not put the glasses on her, well, if you leave it in the packaging, you're not going to like that. So the back of the packaging is kind of weird, too. It's kind of strange. They did black out two of the figures, so, like, we don't know it's Gung Ho or Destro, so The file card being put at the top instead of at the bottom like the originals. Just a lot of weird changes to this that make absolutely no sense whatsoever why they would do that. But they are reintroducing file cards again. So they're doing some things right. They're going in the right direction in some ways, in some shape, so forth. Now I kind of see why they didn't show it on the live stream. Even though they already had it manufactured, packaged, and shipped out while they did the live stream. Because how would it already be over here? So if you didn't know, the O-Rings are back up for order, in stock, Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. I don't think it's pre-order. I think it's in stock order. I ordered 2 sets. Now, here's the thing. I haven't ordered on Pulse for over a year. I did do the HasLab. That's it. But I mean, that's a whole different thing. So with this, I got charged shipping on it. And it's $40. So 20 each figure. 40 each plus tax plus shipping. For 2 sets was $94 out the door. For 4 O-Ring figures. $94. Like, what kind of world are we living in? And how on earth can the average collector afford to collect this? I mean, you're paying almost as much, if not more, in some cases more, than you're paying for the 6-inch versions of some of these characters. Insanity. Insanity. They are milking us because the actual vintage ones carded go for $300 or something like that. That's why they're milking us. Okay, getting into some Motu stuff. There's some interesting stuff going on this week. First off, Savage He-Man showed up. You can get him at Target right now. You can get the Revelations Trap Jaw. You can get... No, you can't get the Trap Jaw yet. But you can get Triclops at Target.com right now. So, but looking at this is the Trap Jaw. And he looks pretty cool, except the head looks really weird. Really weird. Maybe I'm going to have to, like, close his jaw all the way or something. But that is a weird-looking head. I actually secured a vintage head. I'm going to pop a vintage head on it. I think that's probably how I'm going to do my Trap Jaw. So, swap the heads and modify it. But it still looks good. The rest of it looks great. And I think this whole little kind of strange little uniform they all wear might be kind of fun in the end. But $30 price point on these guys. It's going from what could have been a $20 price point to now $30, just so you got a little robe and all that. But we don't have a choice in this. It's either pay it or do without, or $250 or however much a Classics will cost. Now, I do want to say that in my travels this weekend, I did see that Wave 7 showed up at a Walmart here in Oklahoma. I made my video about a month ago. It's still getting lots of comments. A lot of people have a lot to say about whether or not this is going to end in 2022. And I'm going to tell you that it still looks exactly the same as it did back a month ago. Yes, Wave 7 showed up and it hit pretty hard. Wave 8, it's been taken off of BBTS. If you go to BBTS, Wave 8 is taken down. So when you click on anything, if you have a pre-order like I do, and you say, okay, well, hey, I want to look at this, and I want to see this figure that I ordered for Wave 8, which any of them that I've got ordered, I click on it and I get this screen here. And so this was actually brought up by Toy Habits on YouTube, and they really are on top of this news like instantly as soon as they find out. But they did call up, and it sounds like they're still going to get them. If we've got a pre-order, we're still going to get them. But this is not a good sign at all that BBTS took down these pre-orders, and really, there's no explanation. Okay, so want to talk a little bit about some Star Wars stuff. Now, first of all, we did see this week they corrected an error with the Vintage Collection, Boba Fett from the Book of Boba Fett, or from The Mandalorian, or whichever one you want to call it. So this one here is now going to be like $21 instead of $30. So a lot of people have been making a fuss about it. I've been kind of like, well, I'm not really that worried about Star Wars anymore because of the way things are going. But it's kind of good. Now, if you did watch this last episode of The Mandalorian, if you watch this last episode of the Book of Boba Fett, then you're going to know that there's a lot of plot twists and changes, or heck, it feels like it's a whole different show this last episode. I'm not going to lie, I did enjoy it though. This past week, there was an unproduced video game that from LucasArts, and it was Star Wars 1313, and it looks like it's got Mandalorian Boba Fett in there doing some stuff. But the thing is, they uploaded this video. It is super popular. It took off right away, and it's starting to make you wonder, will they bring this out? Because it looks like it's been very well developed. It looks like a lot going on with the game, but it does look very dated as a decade-old game. But it would be nice to get. Maybe it could be one of those download games or something like that. But why not? Like, why put all the work into it and just cancel it? Why not? Well, you're going to put all this money into these TV shows and all these other properties. Video games are huge, so why not just finish it out and let people play it? I think it'd be a lot of fun. I think it'd be interesting. The reason is because it's not one of those that's going to be a forever franchise making them money every single day. You buy it and that's it. That's what's going to happen. That's why they don't want to do it, I believe. And the last real big news in Star Wars is not much going on in Star Wars this week. There will be some weeks. But with that, Hasbro did renew the Star Wars license and the Indiana Jones license. Now, we already pretty much knew they were going to redo Star Wars, and I assumed, personally, that they were going to do something with Indiana Jones for the upcoming movie, because they did the last movie. And with that, a lot of the stuff from the 2008 3.75-inch line is kind of getting hard to get, so I'd be kind of excited to see some new figures coming from that. Maybe they will have updated sculpts and all that, but here's the question about if they make Indiana Jones toys. If they do, will they be 3.75-inch, or will they be the 6-inch scale? And a lot of people are thinking they'll be the 6-inch. A lot of people hope it's going to be 3.75-inch so they can finish up what happened in 2008, but the reality is that Hasbro seems to think 6-inch is all that really matters these days. That's probably the direction they're going to go. So what do you think about this week's weekly news and review? What else is going on out there that I missed that I did not catch up on? Because I would like to know. Like and subscribe, and hang around.